takes us on to item 3, the minutes of the meetings held on the 1st of March, the 5th of April and the 19th of April. Can we agree the accuracy of the minutes?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Now, before we move on to item 4, I'm going to ask Mark just to give us a brief update in relation to the election process and how that's been affecting the board staff. Mark?
Hi, good morning, everyone. As you're probably aware, the election was called abruptly. We'd been planning for quite some time for an autumn election, but obviously when the Prime Minister called the July the 4th, it's made it very challenging for us. And there's been a number of factors, including the new Elections Act, covering photographic ID, postal and proxy voting in overseas electors. There's been changes regarding that. This, combined with the short notice and timetable, has made it very difficult and challenging, leading to additional emails, telephone contacts, things like that. So we made as many plans as possible to deal with these challenges, ensuring we attended as many events and accessed as many resources as possible. We started a project planning long before any announcement, both internally and with our RO teams. We looked at our workforce planning that had already started the process of engaging temporary staff and agency options. We also made advanced training for our valuation staff to support where necessary. And in actual fact, what we have done is employed 5 extra agency staff as well as 2 temporary admin officers. And we have been utilising by necessity our valuation staff to help with the processing. Just regarding national issues, you'll probably be aware that there has been delivery issues around poll cards and postal votes, with the latter particularly causing some concern for electors. The issue of postal packs is the function of the returning officer, but it is closely linked to elector applications that we deal with. All through the process, we have been working closely with the returning officers' teams on this in all aspects of the election. Several organisations are working together to ensure that the best can be done at this stage. However, this, along with other tight elements from the short timetable and short notice, have resulted in more issues and queries from electors than normal. And just to give you some statistics at this point, although they're not final at this stage, we've had 328 applications for voter authority certificates. We've had 319 overseas elector applications, 540 proxy applications, and 9,276 postal vote applications. And along with all that, in the space of 20 days from the 3rd of June until the 23rd of June, we had 9,789 applications to register to vote. And we've obviously got to process all of them. So additionally, on top of all that, we've received thousands of emails and thousands of calls. And again, many of these simple checking as a short timetable has resulted in, sporadic delivery of poll cards and postal packs. The late poll card delivery also meant at peak points the number of applications and inquiries spiked significantly. So the deadlines for our organisation are passed regarding postal votes and proxy applications on Wednesday there, and we are currently preparing the registers to be printed for delivery to the RO teams in preparation for the polling day. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for the update there. Any questions from members online? Yeah, David.
Yeah, it's just a question on the photo ID. I've got a number of elderly constituents who don't have passports or driving licences, and all they've got is a photo bus pass. Is that acceptable?
Yes, a bus pass is acceptable, absolutely, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to check. It's just 2 or 3 of them have contacted me about it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, David. Robert? You're on mute, Robert.
Hi, firstly I'll introduce myself as Councillor Spears. I'm new to this committee this term, but I've been on it before. But I have received notification of the election. Do the electors have to take that notification and in an adjoining leaflet it says to contact your electoral registration office for free voter ID? Have many people contacted the office?
Well, first of all, I think in the past it used to be a polling card everyone received, but just because of the nature of the changes and things, it's now a polling letter that they have, and it's the exact same circumstances as before. You don't actually need to take the polling letter to the polling station in order to vote, but it obviously helps things. It makes it quicker. As far as the voter authority certificates, as I said, we've received 328 applications across the Forth Valley.
No, but can you identify what the free voter ID is?
That's the voter authority stuff.
That is the voter authority certificates. That's people that don't have their ID, the necessary ID or the authorised ID, and they're having to ask for voter authority certificates, and that's the ID that they use if they don't have the necessary ID.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Right, if there's not any further questions, that takes us on to agenda item 4, the revenue budget 2023-24, and that's a review as at 31st of March this year. Lindsay?
Thank you. Good morning. This report provides the board with a draft financial position for the year ended 31st of March 2024 as per the draft accounts, which are also on this agenda. The report shows a draft underspend of 138,000 for the year, which is a favourable movement of 68,000 since last reported as at December. Detail of the variances are presented within Table A of the report, and that shows that employee costs are still the most significant variance, with an underspend of 123,000 in the year, and that's mainly due to the challenges in recruiting to vacancies that we've seen throughout the year. This also includes 31,000 of new burdens funding, which has been earmarked for use in 24-25. Within supplies and services, there is a net overspend of 55,000, and that's mainly due to the initial costs of the change to the new premises, but this is also partly offset by income. Income overall is 70,000 overachieved and includes 36,000 of interest due to favourable interest rates during the year. Table 3 provides detail of the variance in the variance movement since the last reported outturn in December of 68,000, and the draft outturn will be confirmed on conclusion of the audit. Happy to take any questions on the report. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks for the report. Any questions from members online? No, don't see any indications. Donald, you okay?
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Agree with the report? Takes us on.
Agreed.
Thank you. Takes us on to item 5, the draft annual accounts for 2023-24. Again, Lindsay, over yourself.
Thank you. So the board has a statutory obligation to prepare a statement of accounts on an annual basis and have these audited by an external auditor. The audited accounts must then be approved by the board by the 30th September. In line with this report asks the board to approve the 23-24 draft annual accounts for submission to the external auditor to carry out the audit. The details of the audit are set out in the audit planning report, which is the next item on the agenda. As reported in the draft outturn report, the board is reporting an in-year underspend of 138,000, and this contributes to the overall surplus of 279,000 held by the board at 31st of March 2024. Of this amount, 79,000 is earmarked for future commitments, leaving an uncommitted balance of 200,000. This uncommitted balance equates to 6.3% of budgeted expenditure and falls just above the approved level of between 3 and 6% set by the board in its annual budget report. This slightly higher level of reserves is considered prudent due to the outstanding pay award for 24-25. Overall, the draft annual accounts present a favourable outturn for the board, and I'm pleased to present them from approval, and also happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks again, Lindsay. I don't see any indications to ask anything. Can we just agree the report? Yep.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. That takes us on to item 6, the external annual audit plan 23-24. Again, Lindsay, it's over to yourself.
I'm just going to pass over to my colleague in external audit if there is somebody there.
Yeah, I can take that, Lindsay.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, this is the plan for this year's audit of the financial statements that you've just been presented with in draft by Lindsay. The audit will cover two main elements addressing the public sector audit requirements in Scotland. First of all, the audit will look at the financial statements and form a view as to whether they represent a true and fair view of the board's financial position at 31 March 24. We've identified two significant audit risks in terms of management override of controls, which is a risk that we have to cover in every audit we do, or the audit would not be compliant. We've also identified a risk on completeness of non-payroll expenditure. The second element that we look at in terms of the audit work is the wider scope work, and we've identified financial sustainability of the board as a risk that we will look at. Again, I'm sure the committee members will be familiar that that is a risk that is relevant for virtually every public sector organisation in Scotland. The plan is that we'll report back and we'll complete the audit by the statutory deadline of 30 September of this year. So that would all be in accordance with Audit Scotland deadlines. That was all I was going to cover, but of course happy to take any questions the board might have. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Kenny. I'll open it up to the board. Robert, you got a question?
Yeah, at the start of the meeting, it was explained to us the extra workload that's been caused during this election. Has there been forthcoming finance to cover for that extra cost? I think you said you had 5 members of agency staff, which will be quite expensive. So did the government provide any further monies for the help with this?
I can answer that, Councillor. Yes, the government did give us extra money, yes. But so the extra staffing cost is covered, absolutely.
Okay, I hope it was enough money to completely cover everything.
It very much was, yes. We have enough money from the Cabinet Office to cover our election expenses, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Robert. I don't see any other hands up asking any questions, so can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. Takes us on to item 7, risk assessment report. Mark?
Yep, the risk assessment report is an annual update, and the update this year is that there's been no changes to the risk assessment. The risk scores remain the same and the risks remain the same. So effectively, the risk score relating to cyber security remains comparatively high, particularly in a UK parliamentary election year. And of course, we have to remain vigilant in that respect. So the recommendations are that the board approves the updated risk strategy and note and comment on the identified risks. That's me.
Thanks for the update, Mark. Just in relation to the risk about cyber attacks, would we necessarily know if we had been attacked, or would we only know if something happened to adversely affect us?
Good question. We not necessarily would know, but what we have to do is try and mitigate the risk as much as possible, which is why we're spending so much resources on trying to, you know, if it does happen, and people say that it's inevitable that if, you know, if a nation state cyber incident occurs, then you can't stop it. But what we need to do is mitigate what happens in the event that it does happen. So yes, we're taking as much we're taking as much mitigation as possible to, you know, to prevent that.
Thanks, Mark. Any other questions from members? No, nobody indicating. We agree the report?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Takes us on to item 8, the best value report for 2023-24. Aye.
This is a report that outlines our performance in the year ending 31st of March 2024. Section 2.2 outlines our performance in the context of our valuation role, measured by the amount of time it takes to action amendments to the role. Section 2.3 details the targets that we have set for ourselves at 70% in less than 3 months, 22% in less than 6 months, and 23% in greater than 6 months. The performance is less than 3 months was maintained from last year, however, was 15% below the target. The greater than 6 months target was improved by 5% since last financial year and was 11% below target. The target for greater than 6 months was missed by 11%. Removing statistics regarding self-catering changes from, given the timing of these is out with our control, results in an improved position, achieving 63% within 3 months and 20% within 6 months and 70% in more than 6 months. And this represents an 8% improvement on last year's performance within the 3 months and 7% shortfall on the target. Within 6 months, we achieved 83%, representing a 6% improvement on last year and a 5% shortfall on the target. The total number of new dwellings added to the valuation list decreased from 849 to 726 on last year's figures. The target for entries to the list in 3 months of 94% was missed by 5%, and the target of 0 to 6 months of 97% was missed by 3%. Again, removing self-catering changes from our statistics, given that these are out with our control. The statistics show an improved position, and we achieved 92% within 3 months, 5% within 6 months, and 3% in more than 6 months. And this represents a 2% improvement on last year's performance within 3 months and a 1% shortfall on the target within 6 months. We achieved 97%, meeting the 6 months target. Section 2.8 shows the targets we have set going forward. It is proposed that valuation role targets are maintained at 70% within 3 months and 88% within 6 months. Achieving these targets would represent significant improvement in performance. In respect of the valuation list, it is proposed that the 3 and 6 month targets are maintained at 94% and 97% respectively. The benchmark of the 2020-2021 year has been used to serve as an indicator and a stretching target for performance, as it most represents a business as usual year. Key issues this year affecting our performance have been the implementation of a new proposals and appeal system, the transfer of existing and new appeals to the Scottish Court Service, the implementation of new self-catering legislation requiring each operator to prove 70 days of actual letting before we can make any changes, and this has impacted 586 properties. The move from 5 to 3 yearly revaluations and the substantial number of appeals. And during this year, we did have an office move as well. We have not escaped staffing challenges, as well as we've had vacancies in the trainee valuer and technician roles and extended recruitment, leaving a post vacant for 6 months. There has been long-term sick affecting trainee valuer roles and technician roles, together with maternity and staff bereavement. This has put a strain on our staff resources, and the valuation staff provide profile continues to be high in trainees rather than qualified valuers, and training features heavily. I'm requesting that the Valuation Joint Board consider and comment on our continued best value.
Thanks for that, Anne. Any questions from members? Nothing indicated. Agree the report?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Takes us on to item 9, Valuation Appeals Progress Report. Again, over to yourself, Anne.
Yeah, okay, that's item 9 in the agenda, and this report outlines where we are in the context of the disposal of our proposals and appeals. Section 2 details the proposals and appeals received in the context of the 2023 revaluation, and 2.3 summarises the number of proposals received, the number disposed of, the total outstanding, and appeals that have been received by the first tier tribunal. The total number of revaluation proposals received within the statutory time limit was 976, which is a reduction of approximately 79% of the number of proposals for the 2017 revaluation. Section 3 summarises where we are with the 2017 revaluation appeals. The table at 3.2 provides more details on this. And Section 4 provides details of the 2017 running roll appeals, and 4.7 gives a summary of these in terms of appeal type and number disposed of, total outstanding, and referred to the upper tribunal. Section 5 provides the details of the 2005 and 2010 valuation appeals, and following on from that, the next section covers the council tax appeals we have outstanding. And I'm requesting the VGB consider and a comment on the progress of valuation and valuation list appeals, proposals and appeals. Thank you.
Thanks again for the report, Anne. Any questions from members on this one? Nothing indicated. No. Agree the report?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thanks for that. Takes us on to item 10, the 2023-24 Internal Audit Progress Report. Sarah, I believe you're taking this one.
Thank you. This paper provides an update on the progress of work on the 23-24 audit plan, which consisted of 3 reviews. So in summary, for the Electoral Register annual canvass, follow-up on outstanding recommendations, and the annual government statement assurance questionnaire. These are set out in more detail in Appendix 1 to 3 of the main report. We provided a substantial assurance in relation to the arrangements in place for each report. The Electoral Register annual canvass receiving 4 recommendations, 2 at grade 2 and 2 at grade 3. Follow-up of outstanding recommendations. Out of a total of 48 recommendations, as at 22, 23, 28 were implemented, leaving 20 outstanding. As at 23, 24, 5 of these 20 were implemented with 15 outstanding. The annual government statement assurance questionnaire highlighted 5 recommendations, 4 at a grade 3 and 1 at a grade 2. I'm happy to take any questions if you wish.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Any questions for Sarah from members? Again, nothing indicated. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
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 Thank you. Takes us on to item 11, Internal Audit Annual Assurance Report for 2023-24. Again, Sarah, I think that's you.
It is, thank you. This paper provides an assurance in the arrangements for risk management, governance and control based on the work undertaken as noted in the previous paper. The internal audit services are provided by Clerk Manager Council on the basis of a joint working agreement with Falkirk Council. From the 3 audits mentioned in the first report and outcomes of work undertaken as part of the Clerk Manager Council internal audit plan in areas relevant to the VGB, we can provide substantial assurance on the adequacy of the board's arrangements for risk management, governance and control for the year to the 31st of March 2024. Internal audit undertake all work in conformance with the public sector internal audit standards. The internal audit manager undertook a detailed self-assessment against these standards in March 2023, and the 5-yearly external quality assessment has recently been concluded in January 2024. This external review was carried out by the Chief Internal Auditor at Argyll and Bute Council. and the team received a very positive outcome of fully conforms, which should provide the board with more independent assurance. Happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions from members on this report? Again, nothing indicated. Agree the report?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, that takes us on to our last item on the agenda this morning, item 12, Internal Audit Plan for 2024-25. Sarah?
Thank you. You will get rid of me after this one. This paper provides details of the proposed 24-25 internal audit plan. It summarises the development of the planned work. We intend to focus on 3 reviews, being IT control environment, follow-up of outstanding recommendations and governance. Time will also be allocated to any ad hoc consultancy and advice. Any matters arising from internal work will be reported to the Assessor and Electoral Registration Officer in the form of a draft report, with periodic reports being brought to the board as of today, detailing such progress in completing the 24-25 plan. We'll also produce an annual assurance report providing an opinion on the overall adequacy and effectiveness of the board's control environment. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions from members on this one? Again, nothing indicated. You're getting off light, Sarah.
I know it's good, eh?
Well, like I said, that was the last agenda item. That concludes the business of the board this morning. Could I just thank you for your attendance? Thanks very much. We'll see you at the next board meeting.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye, folks.